where to go now. Oh. Yeah. Is this John Cleary still?
Welcome back to the Stockwell Eldridge Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results. Stephanie loves this song.
I'm going to pour myself a glass of bourbon over some ice, some slow, easy music. I like it on a nice Sunday morning.
Hey,
Yes.
Happy Easter. It's Easter.
Yeah, well, see, there's
This is
another
good.
reason to have a drink.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even drink, but okay. Right.
So,
welcome back.
Yes, welcome back, folks. Thanks for listening. If you missed the first and second segments, Brett Larson was talking about last segment about how to get around an appraisal issue if you have an appraisal issue. So from a buyer's perspective, be creative. Same with a seller's perspective. And think of ways to work around it if you have appraisal issues, if it's still mutually beneficial and you still want the property and you can work things out. And then the first segment, we talked about a lot of things, but
Well, we mostly talked about your trip.
we talked a lot about the California
It's
trip.
mostly about Jason.
So we're back
That's
now,
hard to
and
believe.
we're talking a little bit about LLCs and setting up stuff for companies and corporations. What are the thing you said, Brett, that you did is you help with mergers and acquisitions?
Right.
So is there a lot of that happening in the Twin Cities right now, just out of curiosity from a corporate standpoint?
There is.
I heard like Abbott Labs bought out the big St. Jude or something like that. And then, I mean, what's
The M&A market is out of control right
what's
now.
M&A?
A merger and
Mergers and
acquisition
Oh,
market.
okay.
So,
See, there you go.
I picked up on that one.
I'm
Martial arts? No, just kidding.
Yeah, right. I have about transactions that I'm leading this year. We're scheduled to do about $1.3 billion in
Mergers and acquisitions. Oh,
In
my
acquisitions.
gosh. Wow.
Not all in Minneapolis,
Wow.
but around the country. And
That's
We're in
we're
the
seeing
wrong industry.
wow.
we're seeing. Well, we don't get paid a commission. It doesn't quite work the same way. But no, it's very active, and we're seeing multiples on businesses now that I've never seen before outside of
Wow.
Europe.
Like
And what do you-
multiple parties that are interested in buying the same business or something
No,
like that? Is that what you're saying?
so I'll explain kind of how businesses are valued, for the purpose of sale.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of business, if we're talking about a manufacturing company, traditionally, to determine the value, the sale price of the business, you've
Yeah.
taken a multiplier on EBITDA. EBITDA is basically
Yes.
earnings, right? Your net earnings of the business.
Yeah.
So you take an average of the net earnings over the last 5 years, you multiply that by a number, depending on the market strength right at that point and the type of business that we were talking about. If we're talking about a service-based business, we're on the lower end of the multipliers, usually 2 to 3. Okay. If it's a manufacturing business, we're on the higher end. Typically, you're looking at 5, 6.
Multiplier. Wow.
Multiplier. We're seeing multipliers of 10 in that space now. And when we roll up to a larger,
Wow.
to larger,
So 10 times EBITDA for the
Right.
value, right?
Right.
So EBITDA,
Right.
explain that. That's the earnings, net earnings for 1 year
earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's what EBITDA stands
on 1
for.
year.
On 1 year.
So
and
if
normally
you have $1
we take
million in earnings on EBITDA, then
Right.
if it's manufacturing or something, it could be a 10 times variable. It's a $10 million valuation.
That's right.
Wow.
Right.
So what do you think? What do you see? Is there any like tax law changes or guidelines? Like
what's going
why are you seeing it more now than ever? Do you think?
I think it's a combination of a number of factors. One of them is the aging population, right? The baby boomers. People are getting to that point in their life. A large group of the population are getting to that point in their life where they want to sell their business. They're just getting to that point, that retirement age, right?
Yep.
So you have a larger group of the population getting to that age, and then you also have sort of a backlog from the downturn. People who got to that point in their life in 2006, 7, 8, 9, and they just couldn't sell their business because incomes were lagging at that point.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to show a history of 3 to 5 years in order to get the value that you want. So a lot of those companies are just now getting to that point where they've had 5 years of strong earnings after getting out of the recession. So you have all of those people who would have sold over the last 5, 6, 7 years,
Yeah.
but didn't, and now are ready to. And then you have the
The
sort
buyer
of
pool is available too then, right? I mean, the buyer pool was lean then too in the recession, and now it's...
right. And now
they're able to buy and perform and get funding and things like that.
exactly. And now it's pretty robust, and that's a combination of, I think, interest rates still being very low, private equity being very active, and private equity in the past would look for home runs for the most part, right? Businesses that were really scalable. More now, they're looking for businesses that traditionally they might not buy. Construction companies, solid income earning companies, but not necessarily something that could scale from a small company to a large cap company, right?
Wow.
And the focus in that strategy is more on sort of a national roll-up. I want to buy, for instance, every roofer or a roofer in every market in the country, right? That's sort of a national roll-up. And the thought behind that is if I become a much bigger player in that market, if a multiplier of 5, 6, 7 would apply when I'm into each one of those companies,
Yep.
if I combined them, now I'm talking about a multiplier of 11, 12, 13, right? Because I'm a much bigger player in the market
Wow.
and I own
Wow.
more of the space.
And did you say you can help, like, if in all states? So if somebody has, or maybe looking to buy business in another state, you can also help them, your company, or?
Yes,
Okay.
we will follow the transaction. If there are state level issues that we have to deal with, we'll bring in local counsel to deal with those discrete issues. But no, I'm active in in transactions in 32 different states right now.
Wow.
I'm managing transactions for other clients in Europe and in Australia, and so we really follow and manage the transaction. And we'll have local counsel deal with the discrete local issues.
Okay.
That's awesome. And part of this in housing, I don't know if you're familiar with this story that came out, and it's on the news and people can see it. Mattamy Homes pulled out or is pulling out or closing down Minnesota. They're keeping their name around for a while, but they're Cal Atlantic and I think MI are taking the rest of their lots and the remaining of their construction process. Would that be a merger acquisition type deal, or is that just a company kind of folding and other people filling in the gaps?
I think that's an example of them just kind of leaving the market. I know they spent a lot of money in the Minnetonka Country Club.
Yes.
And I don't know
Huge
how
one they've
that
got, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that went, or if that was the reason that they decided that this market that they had enough invested here, maybe. But we were just down in Orlando, and we had a similar sort of trip with the kids on the plane, and
Yeah.
we were really
Nice.
thankful to have those TVs and everything too. We had a 1-year-old just lose it,
Yeah,
about
ours
halfway through the flight.
18-month-old lost it. Totally lost it. Yeah.
Actually,
boy.
one of the best things that I learned on that plane, another group of parents gave us bubbles, bubbles to blow. Blew
Oh.
bubbles for the next 20 minutes, and that baby didn't cry. It was amazing.
Wow.
So that's a tip.
How did the other people on the plane feel about it?
Well, I think it was the lesser of two evils.
Right.
Right at that point.
I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
cute. It wouldn't bother me, but I could see somebody being like, I
So
don't
what's going on in Florida then? Something like this with Mattamy?
So
or what are you talking about?
Mattamy is very active in Florida right
Oh,
now.
so they're probably saying, hey, we're not getting the juice we need in Minnesota.
Right.
It's too competitive. Let's let someone else come in. Let's pull out.
Are they a national builder though, Mattamy? I thought they were just a local.
No.
No, they're out of Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, they are.
Yep.
Okay.
And they've been very active here, and they're very active right now in Orlando. I know that much.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard Florida is really taken off. I talked to a client who's moving to Florida, well, a potential client, about selling his house. He's moving back to Florida from Florida, came up here for work, UHG. A lot of people work there. But he can work remotely from Florida, then move back there. His wife's from there. And he said if you would have bought 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, yeah, in Florida, versus here, he would have made a lot more. I mean, he's still coming out okay here, but he would have doubled his proceeds or gain, his equity gain in Florida because the Florida market is on fire.
And that seems to be happening at every price range, right? I have friends in Florida that we were talking to that bought a home in that starter home kind of market, $180,000 or so. It was just appraised that 2 years ago they bought it. It was just appraised at like $310 or something like that.
Man,
Wow.
Is there a
Yeah.
certain part in a
It's-
certain part
This
of
is
Florida or more?
this is in Orlando, in the suburban Orlando.
Yeah.
Right. I have another friend who bought in Tampa for $800,000 in a nice neighborhood in Tampa, and now that home was recently appraised. I think he said it was a 1.4, 1.5.
Man.
I mean, so it seems
Florida
to be,
they ride the highs and the lows really high and
Right.
really
I was
low.
just gonna say,
Yeah.
too.
And I think there's a lot of pent up stuff there too, and a lot of legislation, a lot of foreclosure crisis that took a lot longer to clean out. But now that it's out and the economy is going on, and Trump's down there all the time, I heard that kind of helps out the economy.
Well, and I was just,
More like, oh, yeah, there you go.
say even the values, but what's the insurance? I mean, do a lot of them have to have flood or wind insurance and things like that for?
Oh,
I mean, depending
probably
on how close
hurricane.
they
I
are.
would
Yeah,
imagine,
that's what I'm
depending
saying.
upon
Yeah, you know, when that you brought up a point though, did Cal Atlantic where they merged with Ryland Homes, so they were bought out by, or Cal Atlantic bought out Ryland? Do you know?
I think they did. So they're taking it. They're going to take that Minnetonka development from Mattamy, and they're
Okay.
doing. I heard they're going to have the rest of it. M&I's got a little bit there, or MI's got a little bit there, but Cal Atlantic's going to be the big winner from Mattamy leaving. And K-Hub left 2 years ago.
Right.
So you get these. I mean, and they were planning on $1 million homes in Eden Prairie. 1.2, they're all 700. So I think we're seeing a shift in the demographics of people not going to the monster homes a lot. They're going to the
Right.
But anyway, we'll be back with more, and we can chat about that. Stay tuned, folks. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
And I'm Dawn Eldridge with Remax Results.
Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Jack Canfield.
The phone will ring in my crippled heart.